Okay, so we're recording. Disclaimer for everybody on the call here. We're being recorded. So like I said, on the last session, we talked about the borrower's experience. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the functionality that we have in this platform that exists for the loan team. And the loan team is just our generic term for what may be a loan officer, an assistant, a processor, whatever the case may be. I'm going to generally call you the loan team here, okay? So we have a couple options in here. One of them is around taking an application within this platform directly. The other is managing that follow-up condition process that I showed you a little bit yesterday at the end of the borrower side demo. And then we're going to talk about pipeline management. We're going to talk about support. We're going to talk about how you get this information into Encompass. Okay, so we have a nice integration with Encompass, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay. But what I want to start off with is I want to talk about what we call the lender-entered application process. So again, yesterday I showed you what it looks like as a customer goes in. We have designed this process. It really works best if you let the customer come into the experience and go through it unabated. Okay, we see high levels of pull-through. We see high connectivity for the assets and for the other pieces of information, documentation that we request. Okay, we're not making a significant time commitment for the customers to go through. You're getting some nice high-level information, and even better, you're getting a lot more solid lead because they're putting just a little bit more time commitment in there, but it ends up translating to a much better pipeline. Okay, but here I want to talk a little bit about what happens if you want to maybe pre-fill some information for the customer. Maybe you're having a conversation with them, and before you send them an invite, you want to take some of this information down for them and then send them the invite to review what you've entered in, maybe complete some of the data that you haven't. So that's absolutely an option here because we wanted to give you some flexibility. Now, you may never exercise this option, just like you may never exercise the option where you're going to send them an invitation to come into the experience. Okay, you may just say, hey, here's my link. Go in, click apply now, whatever the case may be, email campaign, marketing campaign, however you're pushing this data out, and you just let your customers go. Like I said, that's the best way it works. And it's minimal effort on your part, maximum from an application perspective time. Taking your time away from, doing a lot of this activity is really what the purpose of this is, right? But so is life. We do find there may be some instances where you do have a customer on the phone, you do have a customer face-to-face, and you still want to leverage this platform, but you want to take some of the information before you send them an invite. So that's absolutely a process you can undertake here. So I'm going to go into that new loan button again. And so I'm just going to create an account, and it's always going to be email, first, last name. That's the minimum amount of information that you need to create an account record, if you will, in this application. Okay, so today will be Teddy Borrower. Keep it simple. You're going to assign yourself again. And the big key difference between what I showed you yesterday and what I'm going to show you today is you're going to check this box that says fill out application on behalf of the borrower. And when I do that and hit create, it's going to create a loan record for Teddy Borrower, and it's going to drop me right into our application page. So the application page pretty much is a one-page scroll where you can take all the applicable information that would create an application for your customer, okay? So you could take a phone app here 100% if you wanted to. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how you get the customer into this platform because that's still important, right? I mean, it's not here just for you to take apps. How are you going to get the customer into the platform and why would you do it? There's a couple different paths and options that you're going to have. And nothing happens on the customer side until you send them an invite, okay? But again, the path here may be you have somebody on the phone, you want to take some high-level information, drop it in here, and then based on how that conversation goes, you're going to send them an invite either to complete the application, whatever you didn't put in here, or maybe you've completed the application and you just want to send this invite for follow-ups. Okay, I've taken the phone app, but I still want to send you an invite because I want your pay stub, your W-2, your tax, all that good stuff. So I want you to create an account just for that. Okay, I'm going to tell you you have options, right? But again, one-page scroll, very responsive, right? Not a lot of lag time. I can tell you it will take you no time at all once you get familiar with this process. A lot of little shortcuts in here. I'll show them to you as we go through real quick. But it's very quick. You don't have to tab through different screens and wait for the system to think and catch up, okay? Very fast. Now, one way you can do it is you can sit here and go from top to bottom, okay? Very linear process. You can skip around if you like. There is a menu over here if you want to drop down to certain sections. Again, maybe I'm not taking all the information in here. Maybe I'm going to have a conversation with my customer and say, all right, are you self-employed? Are you 1099? No, great, you're salaried. How many properties do you own? You don't own any properties, you don't have REOs. Okay, you're a perfect candidate. You go on conventional. I'm going to send you my invite. Go through it. Okay, but maybe I want to find out you have that stuff before I send you the invite. So I'm just going to drop a few data points in here and talk through this screen. It is not confusing. If you've ever entered a loan application in your life, you are not going to have any problems dropping through this. But I do want to point out a couple things, okay, as we go through. So a little bit, it's not as designed as cleanly as the borrower side, right? We don't have it flowed that way, but it is kind of set up in a way that we're not just surfacing information automatically to you. And like I said, we do have a couple shortcuts here for some of these fields as you're going through that information, okay? And not everything is necessarily going to be required here. This mortgage type and interest rate and all that stuff, at this time, that doesn't really drive any logic. Those are things that we're obviously thinking through in future state. But today, it's just kind of informational. It's not necessarily required to drop that information in there. Again, you can put as much or as little data as you want in here as you're going through this process. Now, for the property address, all the fields are editable and available for you to trigger TRID in here, just like on the borrower side, okay? So obviously the property address field is open and editable for you. If you do not have an address yet, you can click this no address yet box, and then it will allow you to put in, at the very least, it's going to require you to put in, I should say, the county and the state, but you can move forward without any other address information. Now, I will point out that if you have all 6 pieces of information and you're going to use this application page to enter them in, make sure that you enter all the information in before you hit this little Save Changes button down at the bottom. Because when you have a TRID app, you hit Save Changes, it's going to lock this application down. It's going to give you a notification that says, pull it into Encompass because you need to disclose, right? And I'll show you that process here in a second. But just again, a reminder, if you're doing a TBD, no address yet, great, click the box, move forward, no problem. If you have all the information that makes a TRID app and you're going to drop it in this field, understand that it's become a TRID app when you hit the Save Changes button. It's going to lock these fields down. So just know that as you're going through the process, okay? Now, I showed you on the borrower side, there's only an opportunity for the borrower, I should say, the customer, to put in one other person. Hey, are you applying with another individual? Great, and I'm going to take you down that path. For you as a loan officer, because you have a lot more experience taking applications, I'm going to allow you to actually, through this Manage Borrowers button, you can add multiple borrower pairs. Okay, so here you have an opportunity to add a co-borrower if you want. If you wanted to add another pair, you could. You could add 4, you could add 6, you could add 8. Okay, I don't really limit you, quite frankly, is how many you can add in this screen. Encompass may limit you as you're pulling through, right? But we're not going to limit you. Now, I do want to be clear, because the customer cannot add more than 2 borrowers, if you go this path, your only option, if you have 3 borrowers or more, your only option is to send them an invite for follow-ups. So what could happen here is you're going to use this to complete the invite process, the application process, and then you're going to be able to send all those, 3, 4, borrowers, customers, if you will, an option for them to give you that documentation, right? Pay stubs, W-2s, all that good stuff, right? So that's where you would do that. Manage borrowers, and you can add your borrowers there. I'm going to keep it simple here and just keep it at 1. Good old Teddy. So let's scroll through here a little bit. Great thing is we do have geolocation embedded in here as well. It's a nice time saver, especially if you have a lot of REOs. You can just go in here and just click geolocation, mailing address the same as present. So again, you'll find that it's very quick to drop information in these screens, okay? We even have geolocation for the employer address. So let's say that my borrower here works at Intel. I can start typing in, or I guess even Salesforce is a better example here in San Francisco. I start typing in Salesforce, you can see it's going to actually pull up business locations. So that's actually even like a little nice time saver, save you a step to have to go over to Google and look up that information, okay? So the key here is you don't have to enter all your information in here, okay? You can, but you don't have to. Whatever you leave blank, I'm going to give you an option to send an invite to the customer where they can create a password, they can create an account, and they can go through the borrower side experience, what we showed you yesterday, and anything you leave blank will be available for them when they go through the experience. Anything you have filled out, they can edit it, they can view it, they don't have to change it, they don't have to do anything to it, they can just click through it. So, don't think that just because you're not going to take a complete app here, you can still pre-fill some information and give your customer an expedited experience through the application section. I mean, you already saw how fast and easy it was to go through, okay? But you can make it a little faster and easier if you have some of the information to put in, okay? But if you don't have the information or you don't want to drop it in and you want them to go through, which is highly suggested for some of these things, leave it blank. So assets is a great example of that because we have that direct-to-source connectivity right in the application flow for customers where they can say, hey, log into your bank account, get those generated asset statements. Really nice, easy process. So even if you're taking some of this information over the phone and you feel like you want to use that generated asset statement workflow, leave this asset section blank. I'm going to show you the path to send the invite to the borrower. And when they go through the experience, they're going to have the assets available for them to drop that information in and pull them in directly. Okay. It's no harm if you drop information in here. It's just that if you do send the customer an invite, they're not going to be able to connect directly to the assets. Okay. So that section is there, but everything else, pretty cut and dry. Again, application stuff, declarations, HMDA. Again, you could leave these blank. You could fill out everything but these last two sections and assets, and then send an invite to your customer and have them go through the experience, review everything you've entered, enter in anything that you left blank. And as I showed you yesterday, it's easier for them to do HMDA and declarations themselves anyway than it is for you, okay? Because I have to leave all these little sections blank. Now, once you've put in as much as you want, okay, you're ready to send an invite to the customer. Like I said, nothing happens here until you initiate the invite process to the customer as far as their engagement is concerned, right? You're going to hit Save Changes, and it's going to tell you to invite the borrower to fill out the application or request follow-ups, go to the Overview tab. Overview tab is one tab over from the Application tab, and here you are right back in this section that I showed you yesterday. This is the first screen that we went to yesterday. Now, again, I'm going to clarify this. You really have three paths you can go through here. One, the customer can access a link. Okay, either you send them the link, you have some automated workflow that sends them the link, they go onto your website, however they go in, minimal effort, we're going to guide them through the process automatically, they're going to give you all that high level information, connectivity, needless automatic, bit bam boom, done. Okay, second path, you send them an invite that you haven't pre-filled any information. Okay, but you send them the invite, you personalize it, it goes in their email, they click the button, they go through the path, great, give you all the information. This third option is I'm going to complete some information on behalf of the customer before I send them the invite. So very similar to number two, except I've pre-filled some information, okay? So now here I am back at the screen that says, which path do I want to go down, okay? I'm really going to tell you to focus, there's three options here, but focus on the top two, right? So number one is invite the borrower to complete the application. So this means that I've completed some information here, but I want the customer to still go through the entire application workflow. Maybe I want them to connect for the asset statement. Maybe I want them to review all the information that I put in. Maybe I didn't complete all the data, so I need them to complete some of it, okay? That's option number one. You're going to send the customer through what I showed you yesterday, which is that borrower side workflow, okay? Option number two is I've completed all the application information. I don't need the customer to go through and enter any data. I don't need them to review data. They're not going to connect for the assets. I already know all that. I don't want them to go through that, but I still do want them to create an account for follow-ups, right? Still got that nice pay stub, W-2, all that good stuff. I still want them to create an account just for that. Because even though I took all the information on the phone, I still need to collect conditions, and I want a nice secure portal to do that. And I'm going to talk about conditions here next, and I'm going to show you how easy it is even on their phone for them to give you everything you need. Okay, so that's option two, right? So you have your two key options. One, I'm going to send the borrower through the entire workflow, looking at everything that I put in, entering anything that I left blank. They're going to click, they're going to get e-consent. They're going to hit that last submit, get your credit consent. It's going to automatically be available in Encompass because they hit that submit. Okay, that's option number one. Option number two is I'm not going to send them through the workflow. They're not going to connect for assets. They're not going to hit that final submit. Okay, I've put all the information in for them. I'm just going to have them create an account for conditions. Now, very important for option number two, that you export the information out of this platform to make it available into Encompass. Now, I haven't talked about Encompass yet. I'll talk about Encompass here at the end. The way it works for Encompass is it's an automatic, it's going to push information into Encompass, and you're going to be able to retrieve it into a loan file, okay? Now, if the customer hits submit, it automatically becomes available in Encompass. Anything short of that, you have to click this export to make it available in Encompass, okay? So what is going to not allow a customer to hit submit? Well, number one is you're not going to give them the option two because you're going to use option number two. So if you use option two, to get this information available in Encompass, you have to come over here and hit export. And once you do that, you'll see it in your Blend pipeline that you can pull into Encompass. And like I said, I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. Okay. If you use number one, or if they go through their link, or you send them an invite, if they go through the workflow themselves, they hit that last submit button, it's automatically available. You don't have to worry about this export process. Okay. So number two, export. Number one, you don't have to worry about it. The only other time you have to worry about this export is if the customer is in the workflow, the application process, and they're not going to finish, right? They stall out, they're done. You still want to get into Encompass to work the file. You would have to come in here and hit this export, okay? Anything short of them hitting submit, you have to hit export to make it available in Encompass to pull it in, right? If they hit submit, you don't have to worry about it. Automatically available. Integration works beautifully, all right? So it looks like we have a question here. Let's see if this is one I can quickly answer before we move on over to the next section. Yeah, so no autosave on the loan team activity side is the question. There is, except for this application page. This application page is the only place you're going to see a Save Changes button anywhere in this platform. And the reason for that is because, as I said, you don't have to complete all the information on the application page here, right? It's almost kind of designed as if you wanted to set up a prospect, record, right? Maybe you don't have an address yet. Maybe you don't know what property you're in. Maybe I don't even want to initiate the application process yet. I want to start a record. I want to kind of complete some information, save changes. Now it's a complete app. You find an address. I come back in here. I update the information. I go through the minutiae of the workflow, however I want to do it. So that's why the Save Changes exists here. It's not a submit. It's a Save Changes button. Just because, again, you could come in here and work on this at different times. But beyond that, it exists everywhere else. And I will tell you, like, let's say I make a change and try to move to the next section, it is going to key you and say, do you want to go back and save your changes, and move forward. Okay. But now everything else automatically saves for you as you're going through the process. Okay. For both the loan officer, loan team, and the customer. Any notification for apps not exported into Encompass? No, there aren't any notifications for apps that are not exported into Encompass. It's more of a pipeline management piece. Obviously there's some TRID pipeline management notifications that come over. Well, I won't call them notifications. They are on the report. You can see when TRID has been triggered. And there is some way to find out if it's a lender entered app versus a borrower entered app. But no, there's not going to be any notifications on export. Export becomes available really once you have just the borrower's social, you have an originator assigned to the loan, and or they've submitted the application. All right. So let's move over to let's move back over to the pipeline, because I want to move over now to follow-ups, conditions. So again, I showed you the three different paths. We talked about the first one, which is just, again, kind of plug and play, self-serve application process. Let the customer go in, go through the process. We're going to guide them through. I feel confident we'll get them through that without you having to get involved. If you need to get involved, you got Copilot, right? You can send them an invite if you'd like. You don't have to, but you can send them an invite through the system. Great, real easy to do. Not required. You can pre-fill some information if you'd like. Great, not required. You can take an application on the phone and drop the information in here. Great, not required. The other thing you can do, and I will see if I can pull it up here. I don't know if I have a good example of it. You have an application in progress here. Let's see. Okay. The only other time you would want, you may use the application page is in this example here. So I have an application in progress. I showed you yesterday, your customer calls you up, they're stuck, you jump into Copilot, you link with their screen, you guide them through the process, or maybe you drop some information in their form, okay? The other option you have is you can't take over the application for them, okay? Again, you've got that customer who doesn't want to hit submit. You know, you can export what they've put in there, or you can take over the application and complete the information here on this application page before you pull it into Encompass. So I showed you how easy it is to kind of drop info in here. Maybe instead of pulling into Encompass an incomplete application, you want to complete it and then pull it into Encompass. So if you wanted to, you could potentially take over the application, okay? So what I'm showing you here is an application that's in process. I jump to the application tab, and it gives you an option. Now, you can't edit while a borrower's in here, right? Once you send them an invite, you have disabled your ability to edit, because I don't want two people at the same time in here working through it, right? Overwriting information, all that good stuff. Now, I showed you Copilot yesterday. Obviously a preferred option. Work with your customer through the experience, but you cannot hit submit in Copilot, right? You can't hit that final submit button. You can't consent for them. So if your customer gets stopped at some point of the process, or they don't want to move forward, you're not going to be able to get them all the way through using Copilot, okay? If you click the takeover, which is an option, it'll make these fields editable again. You can edit through here, but understand that your customer will be locked out, and you're going to have to go back in here to this overview again and export, okay? So I just show you that again. It's an option for you to do. It's not a requirement. Just understand you have some options based on where your customer is, how you're working with them, how much they have or how little they have completed of the application process, okay? Understanding, and I think it was a good call out about the notifications, right? The understanding that obviously Encompass is your system of record. You need to get all these deals into Encompass, right? Even if you continue to use this platform for condition collection, which is obviously strongly suggested, I'm going to show you, the benefits of using this system for condition collection well beyond the application process. You certainly want to get that completed application, or even in some cases, that incomplete application out of this platform and into Encompass, because that's where a lot of your logic is going to exist. That's where you're going to be disclosing out of. That's where all that good information is going to go. Okay. So we have that integration. If your customer hits submit, if not, you hit export, it pulls over in. And like I said, I'll show you how to do that here at the end. All right, so now I'm back here to my pipeline screen. Pipeline is pretty cut and dry. I'll talk a little bit about this here later. But I did want to jump back into a completed loan and talk about follow-ups. Okay, so I showed you where we have an automated needs list that fires based on how your customer goes through the experience and answers questions, right? How they're filling out their application. I'm already going to start hitting them with some requests. But let's say you want to manage that process. Or even better, let's say down the road, you're coming into underwriting, you're going out of underwriting, you're going to CTC. You want to update that information, and you want to send a request to your customer directly and use this platform for them to provide you information. A lot of benefits to that. I'm going to show you here the benefits that you have. On top of the fact that it's just a secure process, right? Customers, we all use email today, potentially, or there's other ways we're using it. Maybe you're uploading it to a system that you don't see where that information goes. It's just kind of a little messy, right? So I'm going to jump back into Bobby Borrower. Bobby Borrower is the application that I completed yesterday. Okay, you can see here, you know, it's going to take you to the overview screen whenever you jump in at the very beginning. All right, here's the application page. Now, again, Bobby's loan is already completed, so not much for me to do here. It's just really more informational. If you would like to take a look at what Bobby put in once he's completed his application, have at it. You want to go ahead and pull it into Encompass and look at it, you know, great, do it there too. Not much you're going to do once they've hit submit. Now, a good thing though to come here to look for is on that declaration section I showed you yesterday. When Bobby hit yes, I made him put a comment in here. This is where that comment's going to exist. Okay, there's no place to pull it into Encompass. This is where that comment's going to exist. So if you need to react to it, right? If they said, I'm currently in a lawsuit, well, I may need a little bit more information from you, Bobby. What's going on? Okay, so at the very least, maybe if you see they've answered yes to any of their declarations, you know, drop down here in the declaration section and look at it. But otherwise, you don't really need to spend a lot of time on the application page. Activity tab is your one-page scroll for everything that's happened on the loan. It'll show you detail whether it's the borrower did it, whether it's a loan team member, maybe you have an assistant that's a part of your team, a processor, yourself, the system. You know, anything that's generated in here, it's going to be available, and it is searchable as well. Okay, so you can search through that information. All right, but we're here to talk about follow-ups. So you got a nice follow-ups tab. You know, this is going to exist. Again, this is an example of a loan that was already completed. Bobby went through, and here is a nice status of, you know, two things. One, what was conditioned from Bobby? What did I request from him? You know, again, optional. He doesn't have to provide this information. His application is already completed. It's already on the move. Okay. You know, you already marched toward disclosures if it's a TRID app, right? But I did ask for some items, and if he's got them, great, give them to me. If not, no big deal. So he did. He gave me his pay stub. He gave me some information on his large deposit. He's got a couple outstanding items, right? So maybe I'm looking at this and I go, you know what, Bobby, you're a little premature about putting that gift info in there. You know, we're not that far down the line yet, so I'm going to remove that. You can remove what's been surfaced, right? Maybe that large deposit, I don't need to really document it. I'm good, okay? So you have some ability to remove that, and it's going to be removed on Bobby's side. So, you know, Bobby's calling you and going, what in the heck are you asking for this gift letter for? You know, somebody you or on your loan team can jump in and remove that item. You also have the option to add, okay? So again, let's say that you want to remove a few, add a few, update, make some changes. When you hit on this add, you'll see this create new list, and this is where you can come in and create additional follow-up items. And it's got some nice automation in here. Everything's going to happen in the platform, okay? So like I said, you know, this is completely mobile friendly. 100% of the condition collection process can happen on their phone. I'm going to show you if all things go well. I'm going to demo that for you on your phone here in a little bit. But realize that it's all in the cloud too, okay? So it just goes to your email. It opens up on your browser. They're going to log into this platform, and then they're going to provide you all their conditions within that nice secure environment, okay? So here's how you would add a follow-up request. You've got a nice laundry list of items here available for you to select from. You can also start to type in to search. So I know that poor Bobby's been divorced. I'm going to ask for a divorce decree from Bobby, and it's done. I mean, it really is just that easy to add follow-ups. I can sit here and just select the items, and I'm done. Now, again, you don't see a save button here. All this stuff saves automatically. You hit this review request button when you're ready to send an email to your customer. Until then, don't hit it, okay? But all the changes you're going to make in here just kind of save on their own. So again, easy to add, easy to remove if you need to back them off. Now, using this divorce decree as an example, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what each follow-up does. We have these required from borrower options. Document upload, always going to be pre-toggled, right? Because obviously that is the most common request. I need to upload a doc, then that's available. Document review is an option. If you need to send something to your customer for them to take a look at, you can upload a doc, okay? Drops you right into your file folder here, upload a document, and what's going to happen is they're going to open up that follow-up item. It's going to give them an option to review that document, and then it's going to clear that condition, okay? So document review is just that. It's going to have them review a doc, okay? Signature is for DocuSign, and I'm going to show you how to set up a condition for DocuSign here in a second in another condition example. All right, so document upload is my option here, and I've got some message, some canned text. It's completely editable and customizable for you, okay? Let's see, please provide recorded copy, okay? So if you don't like this, great, you can update it. If you like it, don't touch it, move forward, go on to the next, okay? And again, automatically saves whenever I'm ready to move to the next. I just hit the plus button and move forward. Okay. Now for the DocuSign, I'm going to use a letter of explanation for credit inquiry. Now I'm going to preface this by saying I don't know your particular process for DocuSign, acceptance of DocuSign documents. That's an internal decision. Some documents, in writing will accept, some they won't, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to show you the functionality here. I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of a common example, which is a letter of explanation. And what letter of explanation is asked for more than all the rest? It's everybody's favorite, the old credit inquiry. So here I need a credit inquiry letter of explanation for my customer. He's got a couple inquiries. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in my process, I'm going to say I'm going to send a DocuSignable document. I want them to tell me in their own words what those inquiries are from and then DocuSign it, right? So I'm going to select signature. I'm going to hit upload. It's going to drop me into my folder. Now you have to find a loan that is a PDF, okay? A document, I should say, not a loan. So, I typed this document up in Word, saved it to PDF. Now it's available. All I put in here was very high-level information. Again, I want the customer to give me their feedback in their own words. So when I upload the PDF and attach it to this follow-up, you can see setup for e-signature is enabled. I'm going to click that button, and it's going to drop you right into DocuSign. So the great thing about our integration with DocuSign, I think I referenced this a little bit yesterday with the gift letter example. You don't have to worry about a username or a password in an account. Your customer doesn't have to worry about that. In the gift letter example, I'm sending it out to a donor. The donor doesn't need to worry about that. I mean, whenever we're using DocuSign, we just drop you right into it, okay? So here you are. I've got this, now my document is open in DocuSign. I've got the full suite of standard fields available, okay? And maybe you're familiar with DocuSign and maybe you're not, but I'll tell you, if you're not, it's fantastic. And most people in the business nowadays are really best in class technology. So I'm going to pull over a text box because I actually have a couple of text, I need, like I said, I want the customer to give me their feedback in their own words on a couple of these inquiries. So I'm going to drop some text box over. I need a signature. So I'm going to drop that signature sign down here. I want the date sign to automatically happen. Great, drop that down, okay? So again, you've got all these options to put that information over in here, but whenever you're ready to send it back to that follow-up, you click send. Now it's not going to your customer yet. It's just going back and attaching to this follow-up. And now that setup for e-signature is green checkbox. It's not able for me to click, and I'm ready to go. Okay, again, I've got some canned text down here. I can completely edit, customize that however I want. The next one I want to show you is a miscellaneous condition. So let's say you don't like any of our conditions. They don't apply. You want to be a little more specific. I understand that. You can start to type in a condition. Name anything you want. Page 5 of 5, okay? So I need that last page of the bank statement. It's blank. Obviously, that's not an option in my dropdown, but I do want to add it to my list. And now I have created a condition called page 5 of 5. And I can select document upload. I can set it up for e-signature if I wanted to. DocuSign, great. If I want to type in a message to the customer, I can. Or I can just leave it blank. So you've got a couple different options to be very descriptive in what you're sending to your customer. One is through the divorce decree here example. I've got the ability to edit the note that's going to my customer, right? And then with page 5 of 5, I have the ability to actually name that condition something very specific, okay? So a great example here would be, you don't ever want to recondition. That's a big pain point for customers, obviously, right? You ask them for the same thing over and over again. So I asked you for my divorce decree. You gave it to me, but it's not signed. Okay, now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to ask you for a signed divorce decree, sign page 3 of your divorce decree, right? So that's the option for you can have to actually create a condition, or if you want to, just use our canned condition verbiage and move forward. The last thing I want to show you is custom question. So I think, again, what's pretty common in conditioning, especially when you're, starting out with a customer in the very beginning. You send them kind of a combination of questions and condition requests, right? So it might be, give me your pay stubs, your W-2s, your divorce decree, your tax returns. Oh, and by the way, who are you opening escrow with? Who's your title going to be with? Who's your homeowner's insurance with, right? So you're asking some of these questions. They're not necessarily, condition clearing, but they certainly are required by your ops team, and it might be your ops team that's asking the question. So we want to give you the ability to ask a custom question within this platform to kind of not break the flow here, okay? So I didn't want to give you the ability to ask for conditions in this platform and then still make you use email for questions, right, or phone calls. The other great thing about this is whenever, you're going to have the customer answer this question, and the answer is going to be available in this record, and anyone that has access to this record can see the answer to that question. So it doesn't drop in somebody's email, and then heaven forbid they're out for a week, and you have to go back to the customer and go, I'm sorry, who are you using for homeowners again? I know you sent an email to, Kevin, but he's out of the office, right? So do you want to escrow? So maybe it's tax and insurance. Do you want to escrow, right? Actually, you want to title it whatever is noticeable to you. This is what the customer is going to see. Do you want to escrow? Okay. And now I've got my 4 follow-up items here. Nice little combination of different things that I'm going to ask. One's DocuSign, right, and miscellaneous. Maybe I've got a custom question in there. Now I'm ready to hit this review request button. That's going to show me the list of the items that I'm asking the customer for. It's going to show me the email that's going to go to Bobby. And again, completely editable, right? So let's say that Bobby is not a hi guy. Maybe Bobby is a little more formal. You want to say, hello, Bobby, right? Maybe you want to say, please provide. Whatever the case may be, you have an opportunity to edit some of this stuff, or you can leave it alone. Again, let the system work for you, okay? Customization and configuration is a pretty hot button issue. Everyone wants to kind of do things their own way, and I completely understand that, again, coming from the business. But if you want maximum efficiency, let the system do the work for you, right? And so you don't have to touch any of this if you don't want to. You can send it to your customer and let them know that it's coming, right? And then when it looks good to you, hit send request, and automatically what's going to happen is your customer is going to get a email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my screen share here. Bear with me for a second, because I want to move over to my phone. All right, so here's my phone. What you guys are looking at is my phone, personal phone. Hopefully nothing pops up. But as you'll see, slide down here, you can see I've got a, the Ziplend notification comes over as a notification. So, I do tell people, if you're going to tell your customer anything about using this process, tell them to make sure that their notifications for their emails are on, so they don't miss anything that's system generated or automatic. You initiated this email, the system will initiate some of the emails automatically. Make sure they're getting this information. But you saw I just hit send on this. So again, you can be on the phone with your customer. You can say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get you clear to close. Underwriting to give me 5 minutes to get you to DocuSign this document. While you're on the phone with them, you can say, hey, I hit the button, got it going. Here it is. Get on your phone, take a look at it. It'll be instantaneous, okay? And again, it comes over, additional information request, referencing Ziplend, nice branding. Hello, Bobby. Here's my list of items. You can see that where I made some comments, it looks just like the rest of the email. Nice big button to complete the request. And it's going to drop me right into Gmail, okay? Because that is what I use, because I use, it's Chrome, because I use Gmail, right? So let me see if I remember. Bear with me for a second, team. I got to make sure I remember what email address I used. Okay. (0711). Okay, so email address is always going to be their username. and then they're going to sign right in. And again, welcome back, Bobby. Saved all your information for you. You know, contact information is down here at the bottom. And again, ignore that this is generic, right? If I had it in as a loan officer permission, my information would be here, include my headshot, all that good information would come in here. And it's a nice link. They want to call you on their phone. Hey, they click the button. It's going to give you a call, right? You're never too far away. But here's my new list. I'm going to hit continue application. And now I've presented this information to Bobby. Incredible amount of efficiency on your phone here, right? So I'm going to walk you through a couple of these conditions to clear and talk a little bit about how it looks. So let's start with our DocuSign document, right? So letter of explanation, credit inquiry. Click on that. You can see how it comes over. I didn't change this message from the loan team, but you could completely edit that if you wanted to. It's going to say sign this document. And when I hit sign the document, it's going to drop me right into DocuSign on my phone. Okay. I'm going to hit continue. And here I have the ability as a user to come in here and type in some text if, you know, as required, give a nice explanation for each of those inquiries. I click this sign. I can sign with my finger if I like. I can adopt and sign as traditional. Again, if you're familiar with DocuSign, everything works the way it typically does. My date is automatic. Don't have to worry about going back to my customer and saying, hey, you signed it, but you didn't date it, okay? And then when they're done, they're gonna hit finish, and now it's done, okay? So customer has now completely DocuSigned this document. I'm gonna hit continue. It's available in their documents folder. It's available in your documents folder. You have it immediately. It could take you 5 seconds if you need to get something back into underwriting, right? So insane amount of efficiency here just on your phone. The next one I want to show you, let's talk about this page 5 of 5. The other thing I want to show you is photos. Okay, so we do give you the ability, if the customer is on their phone, to take a picture and use that picture to clear this condition. Okay, so page 5 of 5, I have my upload option. Since I'm on my phone, it knows I'm on my phone. It's going to give me the ability to take a picture. So here I am. I'm going to take a picture of this wall. And it is going to ask the customer, do you want to retake? Do you want to use this photo? So it doesn't just automatically attach it. They actually have to click through and say, yes, use the photo. Now, if they have another picture, maybe there's a couple page 5s of 5, I don't know. They want to upload another file, they can take another picture, not a problem, okay? They can take multiple pictures. It's going to collect them all to this condition. It's going to batch them all together. And let's say you have 5 pages of this document. When you reference this condition, it's going to be labeled page 5 of 5, and it's going to have 5 pages to it. And the great thing about this is it comes out of this platform as a PDF. Okay, so when it comes into Encompass, it comes in over as a PDF, not as a JPEG, not as a PNG. Okay, so you have the ability to clear with photos. You have the ability to clear with DocuSign. Okay, you have the traditional way. I mean, maybe they have it saved on their phone somewhere. They can use that as well. The other thing I want to show you real quick, let's do the escrow custom question, just so I can show you what that looks like on the other side. So again, it's a text box for the customer. Do you want to escrow? Let's say yes. And they hit continue, and they moved on. Now, the other thing I want to show you here on their phone, which is really neat, at the top, kind of right here, there's those 3 little lines. When you click on that, it takes you to the screen. The customer has a documents tab. So again, I referenced this a little bit yesterday when they have the ability to pull up anything they've provided to you. Now, I don't need to tell anybody on this phone that a huge pain point for customers is document collection, right? They can love you. They can love your pricing. They can love your service. Okay, they can love everything about it. They could really be happy with the application process. They'll definitely be happy with the closing process, right? But in between those, it's a little bit of a rocky road, okay? And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is I talked about the asking for the same thing over and over again, reconditioning, okay? And if the customer doesn't have, if they're not looking at the same thing you are, it's a lot harder for you to have a nice conversation with them to kind of say, hey, let's pull this document together and take a look at it, right? What you have to do is say, well, you gave me this and it's not right, but in their mind, they know it's right. So it's a little bit of a back and forth. You never want to be in that position, okay? So here I'm going to give the customer the access. Everything they gave me is right here, okay? Including that DocuSignable document and the document that they took the picture of, okay? So let's say that now this document has come in. You're going to get a notification when the customer clears conditions, by the way. Not for every condition they clear, but we do batch it into a certain period of time, and you're going to get a nice list. It's going to say, hey, these, let's say it's 3 or 4 items have been cleared, and with a link to jump into the Documents tab, take a look at them. You need to pull them into Encompass. I'll show you how to do that here in a second, okay? But you had the opportunity to do that. And now you're going to have a conversation with the customer because he did take a picture of page 5 of 5, and now you've taken a look at it. So you get on the phone with Bobby and you say, Bobby, I appreciate you sending that over to me, but it doesn't meet the need. And Bobby says, well, I took a picture. You told me I could do that. Yeah, that's great. But click on that for me, Bobby. Let's take a look at it. It's a picture of a wall, okay? Could be a picture of a cat, could be a picture of his foot, whatever the case may be, but you're going to be able to have that conversation with him, okay? And I've also learned that pictures are great, okay? It's fantastic. It's a great ability to really quickly clear a condition and provide it to you very easily. Most customers don't have scanners sitting at home waiting for this very process, right? But that being said, sometimes it can come over not accurate. So you want to have this ability to have that conversation with the customer and say, hey, let me show you what you provided, okay? And it's all right here because it's in your portal that you have ownership around, okay? There's a little bit of an empowerment in that piece, right? So that's where that document tab goes. And there's a couple other options here. There's a loan team, very similar to the information that's on the home tab. Again, if they need you, they can send you an email, they can send you a phone call, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to jump back over into the pipeline. Now let's talk a little bit about what it looks like when you get some of those documents completed. So Bobby has been a good boy on his side. He's been giving you some information. You got your notification that says, hey, Bobby's cleared some follow-up items. If you have a member of your loan team, they're going to have the ability to see those follow-up items as well. So here you can see what's been provided, everything. The status will show completed if Bobby provided it to you. And your Docs tab is where you're going to see those documents. And notice that they're labeled based on the condition, right? So letter of explanation, here's my letter of explanation. For the credit inquiries, here's my page 5 of 5. Those items that have been provided, they're labeled in the Docs tab for me to look at. And again, I'm going to show you how to pull those into Encompass. You're going to pull them into Encompass, right? But here's where you can really quickly see what Bobby's provided. Here's that question that he asked. Hey, do you want to escrow? Yes. Again, anyone that has access to this loan can see the answer to that question, okay? And the last thing I want to show you is, let's say the divorce decree, Bobby didn't want to provide you his divorce decree, didn't want to upload it. Maybe Bobby is proud of his divorce decree, he wanted to hand it to you in person. Maybe, heaven forbid, he wanted to attach to an email, unsecure process there. However, he gets it to you somehow, but it's not in Blend, okay? You do have an option. You can remove the condition if it doesn't apply, but if they give it to you, I would not remove the condition. I would mark it as complete, which is the checkbox, okay? That's going to let everyone know that it's been completed just externally. And that's really important for loan teams. If you have other people in here that could be cleared conditions, you want to make sure that you have them use that option so that you know that it's been completed and not just removed, okay? And then you have an option in the Documents tab where you can actually upload a file up here to the top right, okay? Let's say, you got a picture of Justin Bieber here. You want to drop it in. You want to label it divorce decree because that's what was provided, and you want to share it with the borrower. Now, that's important. So Bobby gave you his divorce decree. You're going to get into Encompass, right? Why am I going to put it back in this platform? Well, because you can share it with the customer. And just like I showed you how important it is to have a conversation about what they've provided to you through Blend, it's just as important to have a conversation about what they provided to you outside of Blend as well. So let's say underwriting has a question about that divorce decree at a later date. Now you have the option to actually upload it and share it with, as a matter of fact, I would argue that you need to upload it here, and then you can pull it into Encompass automatically, okay? So you share it with your customer and say, hey, Bob, remember that divorce decree you dropped off a couple weeks ago? Let's have a conversation about it now because underwriting is asking a question, okay? All right, team, we are zooming now. Got about 6 minutes left, and I want to talk real quickly about the pipeline. I want to start off by talking about loan teams. So up here at the top right, I have my initials, okay, Franklin Wright. You'll have your initials as well. When you click on that, you have an account option, okay? A couple things you can do here in the account. Here's my profile. You can see it's not really set up. That should be set up for you automatically, nothing to do there. Loan team is an option. Now, if you're a loan officer, if you work with an assistant, if you work with somebody in a very one-to-one relational aspect, you can potentially add them to your loan team if you want to, okay? So Kevin's my assistant. Maybe I have an LO buddy. Maybe I have a team. You guys are sharing a pipeline. All this means is that this person's going to have access to your pipeline. They're going to be assigned automatically to every single one of your new applications. They're going to get all the notifications, okay, for every new application that comes in, right? And this is a loan officer function. The loan officers, you do it yourself, okay? You know, you need to remove that person, great. You know, and once you add them, set it, forget it, it's done. You don't have an assistant, don't worry about it, don't need to have a loan team, okay? You do have an option to add people to individual loan records if you wanted to. Let's say I wanted somebody to watch a couple files for me while I was out of the office. I can click the checkbox beside it, reassign the loan. Now, I don't want to reassign myself, but if I wanted to add Kevin here, you know, I could come down here, find Kevin, and add him to these loans and select them, okay? So that's an option if you wanted to do that. Otherwise, pretty standard pipeline information. We do have a column selector here if you want to pull new columns in. We've got a nice laundry list of a ton of information. Real estate agent is one. I showed you where the customer could put that information in. If you want to pull it in to your pipeline, great. Pull it in. If you don't want it, you can just remove them. That's up here in the top, these three little towers. And then your three little horizontal lines are your filters, okay? A good one to filter by is application status. This is going to show if your customer hasn't completed an application. Everything north of this app completed means that you haven't completed the application, okay? So app in progress means just that. They are in progress. They're working on it somewhere, but they haven't hit that final submit button. So I pull in application in progress, and I can see who last touched it and when they last touched the file, okay? So pretty standard pipeline activity right there. Now, I want to quickly move into support, where I'm going to also talk about Encompass. So we've got a couple really neat support features for you. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you in a short period of time. So we do have a couple of items. I'm going to do these in reverse order. We have a help center, which is where I'm going to tell you to go first. That's a self-help section where you have all of your processes, procedures. I'm going to show you that here in a second. So start with the help center. If the help center doesn't help you, we do have a chat feature down here. Now, the chat feature is for you, loan team member, to talk to our support team. Our support team is here in San Francisco, and their hours are 7 to 7 Pacific Standard Time, okay? So you have an option to to send them a question. They have fantastic customer satisfaction scores. You are their customer, right? So loan officers, loan assistants, processors, branch managers, okay? People in the business, I know they're earning that score. Very responsive. They'll get right back to you immediately. So if you're stuck, really, in case of emergency, break glass, you can chat with our support team through that feature. But again, the thing I want you to start off with is the help center. So when I access the help center, you can see it's really easy to go through here. Our support team keeps this information updated, okay? So start here and see if they can answer your question. You know, if you want to search for something, you can. You know, it's very easy to do that. But I want to use this to show you how to get a loan into Encompass. Got about 2 minutes left, so now I'm cutting a little close. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that your Encompass will look nothing like this. I would preface this by saying that your Encompass integration process may not even really look like this, but it will look very close to this, okay? So take this with a grain of salt. Your internal team will kind of provide you with some information and some additional detail as it is explicit to your Encompass environment. But I did just want to show you this quick video, and this is available in our Help Center to show you how you kind of pull this information in, okay? So this is a nice little video. It's just going to kind of show you, like I said, the process around how these loans get out of Blend and into Encompass, okay? So I keep referencing this kind of pulling in, and it's automatically available. So whenever your customer hits submit or you hit that export button, what you're doing is you are pushing that information into Blend to make it available, okay? So as you start this process, what you're going to do is you're going to create a loan file, okay? Create a new loan, select your template, however you go through that process. And then you're going to pull the information in through Blend, okay? So at the top, you've got your services, additional services, okay, of which Blend will be an option. And when you're so basically what you're going to do is you're going to access your Blend pipeline. And for all those loans that, again, either you've hit export on or the customer has hit submit on, they're going to be available for you. You select your loan, you hit import loan. And it's going to pull that information into that new loan file, okay? You also have, now, I will say, you have the ability to pull docs in, okay, for all those conditions that are being cleared. The application data is kind of a one and done thing, okay? Obviously, you know, you want to get your customers through Blend, get them all that nice high level data, pull it into Encompass, and away we go, right? So that's kind of a one-time deal. Pull that data in, you're done. You got to keep going back to Blend because you're only going to take an app once, right? Documents is an ongoing process. Condition collection happens all the way to funding, right? So you can continue to use Blend to get conditions from your customer, leverage that DocuSign, leverage that photo capability, leverage that custom question, okay? Because you can pull docs in multiple times. So once you're done pulling a loan in, or if you're going back in there after it's been pulled in and referencing that loan again, you're going to come to the screen that's going to show you the documents are available, okay? And when you click on that Retrieve Documents link, it's going to show you what's available that's been pulled into Blend, okay? Now, you've got some options. One is, you can see here, I've got a couple docs. I'm going to select the documents that I'm going to pull into the system, and I'm going to hit download. Now, it's only going to show you things that you haven't downloaded before. There is an option down there to show previously downloaded items if you want to download something again, but typically it's just going to show you a clean list. So if you go back to your customer and get one item, you want to pull it in, it's just going to show you that one item, okay? And that's going to drop it right in the E folder, and you can do with it as you will. Okay? And again, that's it. So the philosophy is going to exist. Again, might look a little different for your team and how you guys have your configuration set up, but the philosophy will exist is that you're going to kind of pull it into your pipeline and pull it into a new loan, and then pull those documents in multiple times. So that's how the integration with Encompass works, right? It's an automatic pull in, it sinks in, it fills in the fields nicely for you. That's why I say, you know, set it up, let your customers go through the process, let them give you all that information, right? We'll guide them through the process. We'll make it nice and easy for you, okay? So use that conditioning aspect to send DocuSignable documents, to send things they can take a photo of, and get those conditions cleared for those things that you need real quick and on the fly, okay? So team, that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to cover in this process. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to stop my recording.